If you can't produce a 10 consistently, you're better off producing in the 1 to 10 scale, stay a 5 to 6 consistently. If you can do that as a team and you don't produce that disconnect, McKinsey produced hard metrics on the back end of this. It cost companies that were consistent 15% less to service those customers. Okay, 15% less. What's up, guys? You just have me today. The team is swamped. We had a great discovery day today with some new candidates, and we are busy coaching franchisees, getting facilities open, and all hands on deck. So we're running out of time this week, so you just have me on the podcast. And actually, it'd be nice to try a different format, so I hope you guys like it. I want to reiterate a story that I often tell, and I used to tell quite a bit when I was on the speaking circuit, which is it's about creating a consistent customer experience and why that's so important. So I'm going to tell you a story out of one of the Jim Collins books. It may be Great by Choice, or it might be Good to Great. Can't quite remember which book it is, but I love the story. It's essentially about a haircut. And the story is about a person that was referred to a new barber. So let's call him Bill. So Bill's referred to a new barber by a friend, and Bill's a guy, and he says, well, my hair looks kind of the same all the time, but yeah, it's close to my house, so what the heck, why not, right? So Bill wanders into this new barbershop after making an appointment, and his friend did not let him down. The place is clean, it's well organized, there's a smiling face waiting for him at the front desk, and they greet him by name, so they know he's on the schedule, he's an unfamiliar face, first time in, that's all notated in the software. It's like, wow, nice experience. Hi, Bill. How are you? Great. Oh, you must be here to see the barber. Yes, I am. Okay, fantastic. Well, listen, he's wrapping up his last haircut. Can I get you a water or maybe a cup of coffee? And he thinks, wow, yeah, how about a cup of coffee? That'd be fantastic. What a great experience. So he gets a cup of coffee. And when the barber's ready, he looks over, waves him over to the chair, goes over and he sits down. He's like, nice to meet you, Bill. And he says, listen, you're in luck. Just got back from a hair seminar. And I learned that if I cut your hair just with the scissors and dry, it won't tear the ends of your hair. So it's going to give you a much better haircut. And Bill's thinking to himself, okay, cool. I mean, I'm a guy who's got hair probably like mine. It's not too complicated. But he's like, okay, great. And he proceeds to get a really nice haircut. Great conversation. Somewhere along the way, the person that originally gave him a cup of coffee comes around and says, hey, can I freshen up your cup of coffee? And he's like, sure, and that'd be fantastic. So he gets a fresh top off on his coffee. And when his haircut is finished, the barber turns him around and ta-da, what do you think? And he looks in the mirror and it's a pretty darn good haircut. So he's like, okay, cool, thanks. And when he's walking out, great experience. The person at the desk says, hey, great to meet you. Can I book you in again, say another 30 days from now? He's like, yeah, perfect. I like, but once a month sounds good to me. So she says, great, books him. And he shows up a month down the road, walks in, and it's a Saturday morning. So any of you guys listening to this know, or if you know a guy that gets his haircut on a Saturday morning, he's probably told you barbershops are packed. Good luck getting in on a Saturday morning without an appointment. It's sort of like every commercial gym in the United States where every Monday evening is apparently National Bench Press Night. So you're not getting on any benches on any Monday night in any commercial gym across the United States. Same thing in a barbershop on a Saturday. So the place is packed. The person at the desk is in the back. They come running to the front. Hey, so-and-so's backed up today. He's running about 15 minutes behind. He's like, yeah, no sweat, no worries. Place is packed. She's like, oh, yeah, it's crazy here. Can I get you a cup of coffee? And he says, sure. Yeah, great. If you got time, that'd be awesome. So she hurriedly grabs him a cup of coffee, hands it to him, and then disappears. And she's cleaning up or doing whatever in the back. So the barber waves him over when it's time, sits him down. And this time he grabs the clippers and he shaves the back of his head and he cuts the rest with the scissors. He's like, look different, right? And of course, he runs out of coffee somewhere through the haircut and nobody comes around this time and asks him. He understands, right? He's pretty busy, so no big deal. Of course, they don't have time to get him a fresh cup of coffee. And that was a big plus anyway, right? That was a bonus. And so, again, haircut's over, turn him around. Ta-da, what do you think? Haircut looks exactly the same, to be honest. He's like, yeah, looks great. Now, when he's leaving, the person at the desk runs to the front and says, wait, can I book you again another 30 days from now? And he's like, yeah, okay, sure. So he comes back 30 days later, and it's over the holidays, and the place is a ghost town. So when he walks in, the barber yells from the back, "Hey, so-and-so's out of town, right? I don't have any coffee made. Do you want to grab a water out of the refrigerator?" And he says, "No, I'll pass. That's cool." And he sits down, goes through some of the magazines on the table. And when the barber's ready, he calls him over. "Hey, come on back." Sits him down, start talking about the holidays, small talk. This time he brings out the spray, sprays his hair wet, cuts it with the scissors. It's like, different, right? Proceeds to cut his hair. Great conversation. Obviously no coffee, but he gets it, right? It's dead. Somebody's out of town. Didn't have time to make coffee. Turns around, looks in the mirror when the haircut's over, and lo and behold, it's pretty much the same. Haircut looks exactly like it did the other 2 times that he's been in. And so when he's finished, the barber walks him to the front and he says, "Hey, can I book you in another 30 days from now?" And Bill says, he thinks to himself, "I'll never go back there again. And it has nothing to do with the haircut." The reason I tell you guys that story is it's to reinforce the idea that a consistent customer experience is so, so important. Remember, the haircut was the same every single time. The experience around the haircut, completely different. Think about this through the lens of your gym, or if you own an Alloy, through your Alloy location. Can you imagine every time somebody comes in, the workout would be the haircut in this case. The workout is pretty good. It is. It's pretty consistently good, right? But the experience around it is different. You don't run, if you're in an Alloy, the 7 core tenets of an amazing session, right? Maybe this coach sprinkles in some of their own special magic exercises as an example. And maybe it's a disconnect between that coach. Maybe it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday client as an example. It's a disconnect between the Friday morning coaching experience and the Wednesday morning coaching experience. It's not vastly different. Maybe they change up the order, or they add a few extras at the end that normally aren't there, right? And then you run the risk then of, while both workouts were good, and you could say effective if we followed the protocol, the customer experience was just different enough to cause a disconnect in the customer's mind. And it is literally that important, right? And so if you look at it through that lens, you say, okay, great. That's a little bit kumbaya. So do a good job. I get it. It's like, no. There's hard metrics around this. If you look at McKinsey and Company, they ran a study on businesses and they polled their customers, not the businesses, but the customers. And they were rating them on a 1 through 10 on a customer experience. Now, companies that could provide a consistent, mediocre customer experience, in the middle. And I don't think anyone listening to this goes into a boardroom or their meeting room with their team and says, okay, our major goal this year, you guys, is to provide a moderate customer experience, right? We're all aiming for a 10. But if you can't produce a 10 consistently, you're better off producing in the 1 to 10 scale, say a 5 to 6 consistently. If you can do that as a team and you don't produce that disconnect, McKinsey produced hard metrics on the back end of this. It cost companies that were consistent 15% less to service those customers. Okay, 15% less. You look at all the things we do in the gym industry. We have rewards programs. We do client outings. We do all of these things that are trying to provide a great customer experience so that our customers stay. It's trying to drive retention. Now, all of those things are great, but you could probably eliminate a lot of those if, in fact, you could do the boring work and have your team show up consistently the same at a mediocre good, right? But they could all do it consistently. You would probably beat companies that every now and then could produce a 10 and then every now and then produce like a 4 or a 2, right? That variation in customer experience is such a disconnect that there's not enough 10s in there to make sure that the customer is happy. Remember the haircut. It was the same every time. The workout can be good, and I'm air quoting, every single time. If it's not consistently good, you're going to lose the customer. By the way, those same companies produced 20% better profit margins, and they had metrics all across the board from cost of servicing customers to retention to overall revenue that were much better than the companies that could sometimes be wildly great and sometimes be not so great. So again, this is why it's so important to be the chief reminding officer, to do the boring work, to do the things that you need to convince your team to show up and run the play and produce an amazing customer experience. If I was you guys and you're listening to this and you're an owner or a manager, I would tell this exact story to my team just to make sure that they understood how important it was and the whys behind showing up and running the play. Because every now and then, if a coach just gets a wild hair and just goes completely off script, they may think they're doing what's the harm, right? I'm producing a great customer experience. What they don't realize, you guys, is they're shooting themselves and the rest of the team in the foot because they are going to create a disconnect for the next session and the next session that customer comes in. So it's uber important, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the format. I hope the story helps to illustrate why a customer experience is so important. There's real hard metrics behind it. So get out there, get to work, and see if you can't produce a very consistently good, moderately good customer experience time and time again. If you can, you're going to win in your business. I hope this helps. Peace.